You've reached the right place, the right channel. The Underdog Research Channel, and I'm the principal researcher of all things technology, Underdog Researcher, where we put the research over the hype. Let's get started. Folks, this is the Underdog Researcher. And you know, this is not one of the regular videos I normally do, not one of the regular videos at all. This is an offline. Now, what is offline? A few weeks ago, I was kicking it with my partner in crime in the cryptocurrency space. I don't really mean that. We don't commit crimes. I'm just saying it figuratively speaking. At Blackrue Investing, you've probably seen him on the Crypto-Rue podcast. And as we was talking, we thought, why not just record these conversations that we've been having offline and create a series called Offline? And today, this is a continuation of that idea. Offline is a conversation where it's no holds barred. We provide our personal opinions about different varying topics that we find important. So unlike our regular research videos where you get the research over the hype, you get a little bit of insight about what we personally feel. Whether you like it or not, this is our personal feelings. And since you are here, you get to be a part of these offline conversations. So without further ado, let me introduce you to, you know who it is, Blackrue Investing. What's going on, Blackrue?
What's up, bro? Let's do this. Let's do it.
Look, now I know offhand they're gonna notice. Yeah, they see the fit. They see the fit. Why are we wearing these sunglasses like it's the 1980s in a nightclub, Blackrue?
Hey man, gotta switch it up for offline. It's relaxed. It's fun. Hey, we got to do it.
I like it. Now, I don't know. See, I think this did on purpose. As soon as you get here, I see my microphone acting funny. So I'm going to see how the audio sounds. It keeps switching around on me. So we'll see how it goes. But hopefully it captures what we say. But that's okay. As we go with it, Blackrue, let's go ahead and get it started, man. We started some trouble the last time we was here because someone had the bright idea to do these offlines to give our personal opinion. And I got a few comments that I would bring up if I was being petty, and I am, where I was called names, I was called certain things, and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. And it brought up something to me because that was our third offline that you said about peer pressure. And I want to start off the conversation and put it up to see if people remember this. So let me show you what you said about peer pressure, and then we're going to start the conversation. That good with you?
Sounds good. Let's do it. Purposeful, right? I think it's easier to control a generation that feels more like, okay, popularity, likes, follows is important. So that breeds a generation that will find it very hard to go against the popular opinion, even more than our generation, right? Because peer pressure has always been out there, right? It's always been a thing. But now it's like, okay, socially, now you can be like shunned, or you can feel bad by like this one person that you don't even know that's nowhere near you disliking your video or leaving you a bad comment. So now that system kind of breeds having people more in line to follow the popular opinion than our generation, I feel.
Woo! Hey, you done dropped some stuff. You know what? I feel bad because this is the type of conversation we have all the time offline. Matter of fact, this should be called the offline. If you are tuning in, you are watching the first episode of Offline with Ruell, Black, and Underdog. We even shorten our names like Death Row. You just call us Row. Just call us Row. This is the conversation.
Offline. I like that.
This is offline. So you will see this posted on your platforms, Offline with Blackrue and Underdog. And it's so crazy. So Blackrue, that was a few weeks ago, our very first offline. You must be an oracle, my friend, because sure enough, 3 episodes later, I got people in the comments that I don't know personally who didn't agree with me covering something because they had their own personal opinion about the topics I brought up, and it was about the presidential election regarding crypto connection. And regardless of the fact that everything that was said turned out to be true, they tried to peer pressure me, in my personal opinion, so I wouldn't talk about it no more. How did you know that was going to happen? What's going on with our current state where comments dictate the information you give out? What's happening, Blackrue?
Bro, like I was listening to what you played, and honestly, I realized it's even worse than what I said, to be honest with you, because we got these AI algorithms. The algorithm is built to only give you what it want, like what you like. So there's no reason for you to go find an opposing opinion, because the algo is just gonna feed you your side all the time. Feed you your side, feed you your side, feed you your side. So how do you know what the other side's saying? How do you know what the other side's doing? How do you know if the other side even agrees, or you agree with the other side? You can find some commonality with the other side, because the algorithm is going to constantly feed you your opinion. Like, and what I've learned about the two parties, at least what we've seen, is that both parties seem to support cryptocurrency. Which is shocking to me, because last time it was like one or the other. But of course, when we look at like the whole FTX thing, we realize that Sam Bankman-Fried invested in both parties. They only want to point out that he gave to the Democratic Party, but he gave to both parties. So, yeah, man.
You know, I was talking to you about this before, and I don't have it pulled up because, normally, when we have our conversations, it's research over the hype. I like to, everything that you see visually, you can research and find it yourself. There's no opinion. Well, I guess to a certain point, we have to integrate. We got to make it entertaining. So there's a little bit of personal, charisma that we add to our unique videos. But the information comes from a source that's recognizable. And I was reading today on Bloomberg, and they said currently right now, the crypto industry, for the first time in the history of these United States, has put more money into the presidential election than oil.
Woo-hoo-hoo, that's huge, bro. Because usually the oil lobbyists and the oil guys are the biggest contributors always. To see crypto eclipse that, that should really make people, not financial advice or anything. But when I hear that makes me really enthusiastic about my crypto bags and my crypto research.
I mean, it makes me think cha-ching. And the thing about it, I got to address something just so people know. I got to take off my sunglasses for a second. I don't care if you don't like what I say. Thank you. I'm back. I had a moment. I'm Generation X. I'm from the 70s. We don't give a dang if you don't like or subscribe because of the fact that it conflicts with you. I got some resilience that's built up in me. So I don't know. Only thing it made me do is think like, are they crazy? They know who they're talking to? I mean, I'm not mad, but it doesn't work on me, and it doesn't work on you. It has never worked. I'm going to research as unbiased as I can. I'll present the information. If you don't like it, start your own channel and you give a post an opinion. But going back to what you said, the problem with what the algorithms of social media and Google and all these different apps, what we have done is traded convenience for our own ability to think critically. And the problem with that is I think of AI and algorithms, because we say the beautiful word AI now, but the reality is there was algorithms way before AI was here. There was always algorithms. If you look at YouTube, they changed the model. But the thing about it is, what happens, Blackrue, if I break my left leg and I get a cast and I use crutches? What happens to the muscle when you don't use it?
It atrophies and it weakens to the point where you can't use it anymore. Yep.
So if a muscle, and what we have learned through science, atrophies because you don't use it, then what happens when we start to depend so much on these algorithms to tell us what we want to see based on things that we have inputted, and we only get information back based on things that agree with us, we lose and atrophy the ability to critically think for ourselves. The AI becomes the crutch. The AI weakens your ability to think. And I don't like that. In fact, I feel like, because we grew up with card index, the Dewey Decimal System, because we grew up when you had to go to the library and had to look up things on cards, and Web 1 was actually going and looking for things, and blue books and hard books and words, we had to learn to critically think and update our knowledge. So if Blackrue has a different opinion than me, then he may say something I didn't know, and the only way to best him is to go do the research to best him. Now you just researching other articles that tell you more things that it's bias. Actually, it's anchor bias. You're biased in your own frame of thinking, and then you confirm that bias with additional information that anchors down to what you originally think.
And on top of that, bro, we got cancel culture. So it doesn't behoove you socially to have an opinion that's different from the majority, because automatically that means you're going to get canceled. And
absolutely,
it's sad, really, because now no one's willing to even explore the other side in fear that they'll get canceled, or even socially, people will not even have the conversation in fears that they'll get canceled. When you can learn something from someone, or you can learn okay, you know what? I didn't think about it that way. I didn't think about it that way. I go back to my days in college, and I'm an early 80s baby, and they call us millennials kind of lazy too. But I used to head our Black Caucus, and I would tell people about things like affirmative action, different things like that. And people would be sitting and willing to listen. They used to be willing to listen back in those days. And people would be like, okay, I never thought about it that way. I never considered it that way. And in today's world of cancer culture, you don't even have the thought. You're not even willing to hear it. You just stop it right there, because your algorithm and everything that everyone else says and how you get social favor with your likes and dislikes, you're not even willing to hear it.
No, you're 100% correct, but there's also a trade-off, and I'm going to connect this to crypto, but first I want to make the trade-off. You're right. We're in a culture of likes and loves and shares, and we have to do it. Hey, I do it at not most of the time, but every once in a while in my videos, I'll remember to say, please like and subscribe. And I don't even know if it works, but but that's what they say you're supposed to do when you have a channel. And reality is they tell you that you're supposed to tell the consumers of your product only to do one thing, not like and subscribe. Please just subscribe, because people will tend not to do the other things. So that's a whole marketing piece. But here's the thing. The trade-off is we have monetized and given up our own free thinking thoughts because it's not monetarily in our benefit to not gain followers and subscribers if you're using that celebrityism. So that celebrityism is what these endorsements come for, these athletes and actresses and models. They use us middle class and lower income individuals as their cookie jar, because we will continue to eat whatever they give us because we want to feel like we're more than what they even see us as. Now, I don't prescribe to that, but that's what the trade-off is. So if we brought up these hot topics, like if I say, are there more than two sexes? See, everybody listen, what's Underdog going to say? Now, even that, or conversations like we're having right now with Blackrue, and we could talk about crypto. If you talk about an influencer, whether it's a celebrity or not, and we say something that's different, because they're more popular than we are, they must be right, and that's not the way it works.
I love the way that you put that. Like in a certain sense, they've monetized having the correct opinion, right? Because you can put certain things on YouTube that's against the let's say popular opinion, and your channel will get taken down, or they will like hide you in the search history, or so monetarily they will make it behoove you to have the same opinion as they do, or to not touch the negative or the opposite opinion. I'm not going to say a negative, because I mean it has a bad connotation, but having the opposite opinion will be punished, let's say, by things like YouTube, by things like your social like the social class or wherever you're in. Like, because what if I were to say, like, okay, summer rap music is trash. like culturally, the culture will punish me for saying that, right? But then when you look at some of the things that rap music promotes, right, like drug culture, not treating women best, or stuff like that, people will agree with that, but still culturally they're still pushed to say, okay, well, rap music is black, or that is black culture. So like, it's so hard in that the popular or right opinion is being monetized or incentivized by people's pocketbooks, so much so that you cannot give the opposing opinion, or it doesn't behoove you monetarily.
That is so true. It is so crazy. And the funny thing about it, they do it right in front of your face. And let me identify they. I'm from the country, so often I say they and we. You ever hear me talking, I'm talking singularly, and I'll say they and we. I'm talking about a particular entity in this case. So they is everybody. Both if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, independents as well. We're people will do it right in front of your face. I'm going to give you an example, because this is an offline, and this is about our personal thoughts, and we'll keep it, try to get on crypto, but I think that this is important. There's this thing in Florida they started about the critical race theory. It sounds fun, right? It made it educated. Critical race theory, CRT. They even gave it a name. And I'm 100% against this particular thought process, because what it does is do the same things we've seen over and over in generations. We ban books, we burn books, we say it didn't happen that way. It's interesting, though. I went to Hawaii. Keep that in mind of what I'm about to say. I went to Hawaii, to Pearl Harbor. I was in Hawaii for about 4 weeks. A lot of people may not be able to go to Hawaii sometimes, but I went. This is my second time going, and I just need a reset. I'm a Marine Corps vet, as you can see. So I wanted to see about 1941, and I learned a lot. Whoever controls the media is the power that's currently in place. What's interesting when you go to Pearl Harbor Memorial, I'm going to get back to what I'm saying about the critical race theory. I'm going to connect it, is when you go there, the United States government recognizes that Japan did their first attack on the U.S. in 1941. It was actually a very masterful attack. It was the first 9/11, if you will. For we have never faced such a thing. These 2,000-pound bombs, I can go through it. They were able to pierce armor. They took away all our fleets in the Pacific. It was thousands died within minutes in the early hours. And you can imagine there wasn't cell phones, so it was just chaos. People burned to death. It was crazy. Now, here's the point. In the video I was watching, it's very heroic, but they also talk about what happened to the Japanese citizens that were in the United States. American Japanese citizens were put in concentration camps, and in the military, they didn't think they'll be loyal to the United States because of the fact of what they looked like. Is that critical race theory or the reality? Now, there was a lot of Japanese people there when I was at Pearl Harbor, because if you go look in Japan about the history, they have a different story. They talk about the political aspect of what the United States was doing to them that made them feel that they had to make a first strike. They talk about the heroes who were the kamikaze pilots. Now, why is it that today Japan is an ally of the United States? We killed millions with our two nuclear bombs, right? Y'all know about Big Boy and Little Boy. We killed millions. It's a story that I learned in the Marine Corps. They killed thousands. There are allies today. But if you go to Japan and look at the history of what they said, they don't stop calling those people heroes, because to Japan, the soldiers who stood for their country were heroes. And just like we can't say that we're not heroes, the people who died were still heroes. Now, what's the point? The point is, right now, currently with the CRT thing, we are trying to erase history of domestic history that occurred in the United States and say it didn't happen. And if we're doing that already, it's conditioning us for a bigger spectrum in the technology space. So even in the technology space, if we are already being conditioned to wipe away history as if it didn't happen, then we're also more susceptible to have influencers and the government tell us that something is, I'm going to show it again, fool's gold, when it's actually real gold. And I think that's important to understand. Where we are with technology, Blackrue, is that we are being influenced to get out of cryptocurrency, to say it's too technical to understand. We're getting influenced to say that it's just a scam. We're getting influenced to say that we're just a minority, that no one does this thing, when in reality, the proof is right in front of us. We saw Bitcoin go from $841 in 2017, I think, all the way up to now $70,000, constantly going up. But we're still calling it a scam. That's why I want to bring together. I feel like that thing you said about influence is alive and well today.
Yeah, and I had to refresh me. What is critical race theory, or do we want to touch that?
Yeah, critical race theory is the Florida Governor DeSantis created this law that is in Florida that basically has identified that if you talk about people of color, African Americans specifically, about slavery, that it did not occur, that they will not teach this type of stuff in schools, in public schools, that they'll only teach American history, that is not a part of American history, that it is critical on other races, basically saying that, you know, the story of the indigenous people, of the Native Americans and the Trail of Tears, the African Americans, the people who endured any type of issues during this time frame, it didn't occur. So we can't talk about
it. Interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah, that does lead me to media, in that, like, the people who control media have a lot of power, and you know, kind of going back to Black culture again, like, it's interesting because all the leading sources of Black media are not controlled by us. Ultimately, that they're not controlled by us. We do not fund them. They're not funded by Black sources, right? Using the term Black, but they're not. So anything that they push doesn't necessarily mean that it's what we want. It's what the funders want. So you really have to think about that when you're presented with these things. Yeah. And see it, and even like talking about the topic, it's like, okay, I'm on YouTube. I have to be careful. Like, how do I address this on YouTube? I can't even give a full correct opinion, because does it behoove the channel monetarily, right? Like, where is that going to put us in a search engine if I address it thoroughly, right? Like, and just that being a deterrent is really upsetting, because it doesn't let people see a full, fleshed out, thought out opinion, and therefore everything can be controlled in that manner, right? Oh man, it's a lot.
It's so true. I'm gonna share something. I got to, man, because we're talking about crypto, and we're talking about and I was going to do a video. Let me preface it with this. I was going to do a video And I decided against doing it, not because of the fact that I don't think it should be aired, but because it would take so much time. And at the end of it, I don't know if people get the value. The video was going to be each presidential candidate, President Trump, former President Trump, and current Vice President Kamala Harris, their actual stance on crypto. Their actual stance based on record, because everyone always talking about everything else. So, but to preface this, I first wanted to do Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution to establish what the vice president role is, because what's happening is people are given these duties that never existed. And so I thought that's important. The vice president, let's start going backwards. I bet you we can go backwards so far with the president, but we can't quickly name who the vice presidents are, because traditionally the vice president has not played a main role. Constitutionally, they're the president of the Senate. They make the final votes. There's certain things they do. So what's happening is we're trying to evaluate for crypto which candidate will be the best candidate. But the reality is true that both of them will be, as long as they are pro crypto. See, crypto cannot have partisanship, because you need the buy-in of both the Republicans and Democrats. So no matter what we individually feel, we can't keep pulling crypto into this. We need either one to do it. But you can analyze the record because it's history. So I want to just show one article, and I won't go to too much more. Is that okay with you, Ruell?
Yeah.
I just thought this was interesting. So this, so I have a little timeline here. You can't see it. I'm going to pull it up on my own personal computer, because I was doing a timeline from the time that I started with former President Trump, where he came into office, and he had won the election. And this is his first speech, which was the National Security Strategy speech, December 18th of 2017. And what happened? So I'll give you a little progression. Let me put this in full second. So he had gotten elected as the president of the United States. He gave this speech with Vice President Pence on December 18, 2017. It was called the National Security Strategy speech. You can see this uploaded and watch the full speech from an organization that keeps all the presidential speeches. And in that, his very first thing he said about crypto in the history of his presidency was that when he, as the president of the United States, he was going to stop the use of cryptocurrencies for illicit activities. And he put it in there. The strategy was that cryptos were connected to terrorist groups and criminal behavior. And his first thing he was going to do was that. Now, that's December 17th. Now, I'll get to this in a minute. Now, I'm looking at my timeline. Then on December the 22nd, the Republican House passed a bill, which was called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And the final bill was 51-48 on December 20th, 2017. All Senate Republicans voted for the bill except Senator John McCain, who was absent for health reasons because he had cancer. On the same day, a revote was held in the House and the bill passed. Now, President Trump then signed the bill into law on December 22nd, 2017. Now, check it out. So President Trump at this time signed into law this bill. It is his bill based on the House Republicans passing it, because for the first 2 years of his administration, it was a Republican House and a Republican Senate and a Republican president. And this is what this is what the bill did. I'm gonna bring you to this article and make this full screen so we can see it together. So if you look at this article, President Trump is expected to sign a tax bill which would subject all U.S. crypto trading deals to capital gains tax. The newly drafted bill, called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, has recently been approved by both the Senate and House Representatives and is expected to be signed by the United States President Donald Trump. According to Goodwin Procter LLP attorney, they said that they pointed out that this bill is signed into law. It will not allow the relevant parties that participate in crypto trading to defer capital gains taxes. The parties would then owe taxes on their cryptocurrencies if it is increased in the value while in their possession. Up until now, So this never happened until he came to office. Up until now, cryptocurrencies have legally been treated as like-kind exchanges in the U.S. This enabled crypto market participants to defer capital gains taxes as the two items being exchanged were similar. However, under this new law, the exchange had to be completed within 180 days, and there will be capital gains taxes. According to regulatory guidelines, they were published in 2014 by the IRS. A taxpayer will now experience capital gains loss and gains concluding the exchange. But under this new law, now taxes occur. So what happened was we didn't get taxed on crypto until he signed into law taxes on crypto because of this bill that was signed. So why does that matter? Up until he came into office, if I had a Bitcoin and it was worth, I don't care what it was worth. Let's say it was worth $1,000, and Blackrue had an Ethereum, and let's say it was worth $1,000, and I traded him for my Ethereum, and in that year, his my Bitcoin went up and his Ethereum went up. I could sell it, and I would have zero capital gains taxes. So when we talk about the whole regulation and things like that, what I'm hearing now is like being nice on crypto and being pro crypto. This presidency's history under former President Trump was never good on crypto. It was the first taxes on crypto. And then once that's their record, they can't go away from that. And then once that ended, the Biden administration's presidency has never been good on crypto.
Yep.
And the vice president has nothing to do with that at all. They can't make those decisions. Their job is not to make those decisions. And so my point is we got two candidates right now, and only one doesn't have a history of crypto unless you go back to California, which is a whole other conversation about their crypto laws. Go ahead, Blackrue.
Yeah, if you look at the Biden administration and what was happening with XRP and Gensler, a lot of people look negatively on this administration with crypto. So it's like, both don't really have a positive track record. Yet when you hear like both, even though like the perception is that Trump is better for crypto. That's the perception. But if you listen to both of them talk, it seems like they have no idea truly what's going on with crypto.
well, it's crazy. Again, I won't do the video. I don't, and the reason again, it's just going to take too much time because it's a lot of information. And I thought about what I would do is go from 2017, give all the actual news from that year. But what benefit will it give people who are going to vote? They're going to vote how they want to. And even though it's educational, I don't know if it'll be helpful. But you're right. And when Trump became president, crypto saw a 3% increase upon him being elected the first time around. And then after inauguration, crypto didn't have any move. It went back down and didn't move. Just like when he did the Bitcoin conference. If you people stopped talking about that, have you noticed people not talking about the Bitcoin conference because everyone was saying how crypto is going to boom? It didn't boom. But interestingly, which I think should be a part of the offline, I need to say it, Blackrue. I'm going to take off the glasses so they can get the AI in my eyes and they can take my video down. China's economy stimulated Bitcoin. Woo! Snap.
Whoa.
Beijing, China economy was still in Beijing. They stimulated their Chinese economy, and it's correlated exactly when Bitcoin went up. Because no matter what we try to do, the narrative doesn't matter. China is still United States' biggest partner, no matter what administration. They buy all our stuff. They steal all our stuff. We buy their stuff. We steal their stuff. We have this dysfunctional relationship that we stay in every candidate, every presidency. When Japan's stock market crashed, crypto stock market crashed. Our Asian market. When China's stock market was stimulated by Beijing, crypto has now went up. There is a correlation that it cannot be denied. You can go look it up, the stock markets. And as I said in the first video with Swift, what did they say? The fourth quarter, we're looking for a V-shaped return We're going into the fourth quarter of Chinese markets, and if that happens, then SWIFT and other projects will see upcoming. Go ahead, Blackrue.
Well, you saw that research I did on Draper and Draper's daddy and granddaddy, and how Draper's daddy worked really kind of hand in hand with George Bush Sr. And George Bush Sr. was an ambassador to China. He was an ambassador to China. So, like, the connections are definitely there. And you know how Tim Draper says, well, my biggest movement in wealth, and this is from his mouth, was investing in China, right? And then when we went back again, like I said, his daddy had relations with George Bush, and George Bush was ambassador to China. And then his granddaddy went and rebuilt Western Europe after World War II. So these dudes have all the connections over there in Europe and especially China. And it goes back generations. So
yep, absolutely. Absolutely, Blackrue. But that's the thing about it, is what you're saying. I'm going back to what you said about peer pressure. It is the narrative that you're buying into, that people, I'm saying we as humanity, buy into whatever someone says who's famous and we believe has money, and our own critical thinking goes away. China should not steal intellectual property, but they do from the United States. And they should not commit espionage, and they should, but we do the same thing. So my point is, I'm not saying that we shouldn't root for pro-America, because I'm very pro-American, but I'm not going to buy into the media and the peer pressure that I'm supposed to say that everyone who's Asian or from China is a threat, because they're not, because we are just as a threat to them. They do things they shouldn't do from the state level. The people can't control all that stuff. Let's just be honest. We're talking about governments against governments. We're not talking about regular people like me and you. There's someone in China right now sleeping in the streets, poor as heck, just like somebody in the United States is sleeping in the streets, poor as heck, and they're not trying to steal each other's government secrets. We need the global market to be stimulated in order for crypto to be successful. Do you agree with that, Blackrue?
I do agree with that. And just like kind of further kind of driving home the point that you're saying, like the perception is China is like our enemy. Like if we slip up just a little bit, China's just going to come in here and just like take everything from us. But the actual reality is, you know, George Bush Sr., ambassador to China, we buy a lot of our goods from China. Like in actuality, the governments kind of work together, and low key, China has a central bank, just like we got a central bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, y'all can do the math on that one. So it's like, okay, so what's the real deal? What's the real deal there?
Absolutely. I don't know. Did you see my 2-part series I just dropped off the other day about the SWIFT is digital gold? Did you check that out?
Yes.
So I brought up Animoca brand CEO Yatsu, and I like to bring him up because if you like money, if you all about celebrityism, what you going to say about him? He's a United States citizen from my understanding, and he makes over $100 million a year from what's reported, and I'm sure it's a lot more. Animoca brands any given year brings in about $5 billion a year, and in a market that brings in billions of dollars. I brought him up. Andrew Yang, United States citizen as well in California. John Shin, a United States citizen, millionaire. Tim Draper. Now, my point I'm going to make, I could keep going on and on and on about the United States citizens who are here in America making millions, but this is what they're saying. He was saying that the American dream is more realized in Asia than in the United States, because we, as the Westerns, take our democratic process for granted. We we're not really capitalist. And I thought about that, and you know, especially being a Marine, I kind of bothered me, but I can't be bothered when he's telling the truth. And the reason he said that was this: we are fighting with ourselves to get into innovation like crypto and AI when these other countries like China are already getting into it. The difference between the United States, though, and us is in China, the government can take your land away from you. You don't own anything. When you talk about communism, they own everything and they can take it from you. Here we can at least own our lands to a certain degree. We got to pay taxes on it still, but you get what I'm saying. We at least own our lands and have property, but we take it for granted. So you see a lot of people coming to the United States and exploiting the fact that we will fight with each other while they stay focused and they make this money. He's a great example. The American dream is more realized there because innovation is not fought. They go with innovation. We're here right now.
On that note, the American dream, I think, is like mostly like quote unquote dead. If you look at like how inflation has gotten people, right? And this goes into something we were talking about, like offline, how they say like Generation Z is like lazy, right?
Not like, don't do it, Blackrue. You're about to get started. This is the offline. Let me put my shade back on.
Right, and I think it's more it's kind of a little bit, yeah. Generation Z is a little bit lazy, and I know they call my generation millennials. They say we lazy too, but really when you look at like what the dollar could buy back in the day, just like 10 years ago, right? You know, you can have a basic job, and there's nothing wrong with having a basic job and support yourself and be okay. But right now, like people need roommates. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe not for somebody that's in the tech sector like ourselves, but like, you know, like people need roommates and people need like, it's hard out here to really survive on like what's you know, an average salary or 2 average salaries nowadays. So, you know, back to China, China just, I believe they just turned on the money printer over there too, because things are bad for their citizens, right? So globally, the economies are very, very much suffering. And I think globally, like the current like fiat system is really suffering. So I really do believe when you look at things globally and the way that fiat is going, it's really boding well for cryptocurrency, both with BRICS and G7. And you know, as far as like Bitcoin and other like blue chip cryptocurrencies are concerned, I think that really, really bodes well because this current global monetary system is dying. It is dying. One thing to also note kind of there is I was listening to this video where they were talking about Chinese men were just like, they're not even getting into relationships because they can't afford it. Some of the same thing that's happening over here, right? But like, since the dollar is still the world's kind of reserve currency, like a dollar over there is worth so much more. Like it's just crazy. I just think the whole global fiat system is in itself dying. And honestly, I think that bodes well for cryptocurrency.
Woo, Blackrue. Let me tell you, folks, this is why y'all know I like to kick it with Blackrue. He just hit on the topic. I think what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, because y'all can't get all this good stuff in one setting. We're at the 43-minute mark right here. So I'm about to close out this episode of Offline. We didn't get into all the stuff I wanted to get into, but Blackrue is about to bring it to you. We're going to switch it up. Make sure you go to his channel. That's Crypto Rue Podcast, Blackrue Investing. Either way, put it in YouTube. You'll find it. Links in the description of this video. And again, you can catch this offline. Now, a little secret, folks, coming up. It's not too much of a secret. We can't, as Blackrue keeps saying, we can't keep doing the same thing, seeking a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So we are moving at some point off of YouTube, but not completely. We'll leave a footprint. We got to go and own our own place where we can give you the full-fledged conversations that we can't say on YouTube. So keep that in mind. So make sure you support the channel. If you want to see that, hit those super subscribes, those super likes, those super chats. Your funds help us to have the resources to pay for sites, to pay for equipment, to pay for resources we need to bring you the research you need to get you ahead. So Blackrue, if you're okay, we're going to lock this out. Is that good with you?
That's good, bro.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. And until next time, this has been the Underdog Researcher. and Blackrue Investing with Offline. See y'all soon. Take care and have a good one.
Music by Indigo Saint.
Yeah, word. I'm moving on research. See, that's the difference between making a bag or losing a bag. It's like work. Research. BOT make the tech work. And Underdog, you like Cap Kirk. We masters in the metaverse. Just research. Deep work. What you mean in research? See, that's the difference between 100 stacks and no stacks. So we research. Light work. BOT make the tech work. And Underdog, you like Cap Kirk.